I move we table training.
Not this time. I got this
Gonna get deep.
She bought us wings, she's bribing us.
Oh, is
Yeah, there was a
that it?
reason for that.
She bribed us.
Well, they were spicy wings, so you know, we have to cut hard ones.
I don't know if we added that.
Wondering.
Is Kim joining us?
We're without adult supervision.
She's where?
We need to use that. That card. I'm gonna roast him out of the thing. We'll do this after.
I ended up with 2 of these. Did anybody not get one?
Is this two of the same thing?
That's, it appeared,
Updated motion. The single sheet I passed out is updated motion.
But it looks like.
No, one is an answer sheet. You guys, I'll explain this in training. Training.
No, this is for the car wash.
Oh, the car wash.
Yes.
Was. Oh, his no.
Oh, this is your attendant.
There needs to be an appropriation.
here.
Councilman Monaco, can we make an appropriation? Yeah.
I'd say so. We're gonna just need a little glue.
Sometimes blue doesn't. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the East Point Planning Commission for 7:03. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Roll,
Present.
Ms. Naylor, Mr. Lalonde,
Present.
Ms. Julinski here, Ms. Moody,
Here.
Mr. Lubeck,
Here?
Chairman DeHaan.
Here. Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda this evening?
So moved.
We have,
Second.
we have motion and support. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lubeck,
Yes.
Mr. Lalonde,
Yes.
Mr. Broll,
Yes.
Ms. Naylor. Ms. Julinski, yes. Ms. Moody,
Yes.
Chairman DeHaan.
Yes. We will open the first hearing of the public. Forgive me, do we need to have a motion on that too? No. No? I'm getting no and I'm getting yes.
Thought we started doing that. Oh, for first hearing of the public?
Yeah.
No. Public.
Okay.
Mr.
All right.
Lubeck's correct.
So then we'll open the first hearing of the public. If anybody wishes to be heard, you have 3 minutes. If you come to speak on the item agenda, Total Experience Banquet Hall, I would ask that you wait for that hearing. The floor is yours. Does anybody wish to be heard? Anybody wish to be heard? Seeing none, we will close the hearing of the public and we move on to the approval of the minutes. May I get a motion?
I motion for the approval of the minutes of the April 6, 2023 meeting as written.
We have motion. Do we have support?
I support.
We have motion and support. Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Moody,
Yes.
Ms. Naylor,
Yes.
Mr. Broll,
Yes.
Mr. Lalonde.
Yes.
Ms. Julinski abstained, I was not here. And Mr. Lubeck,
Yes.
Chairman DeHaan.
Yes. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for the presentation of the Total Experience Banquet Hall LLC project at 24611 Gratiot?
So moved.
We have motion. Do we have support?
Yes.
Support.
We have motion and support. Secretary, please call the roll.
Is that Ms. Naylor or Ms. Moody?
I think it was Ms. Moody.
Thank you. Mr. Lubeck,
Yes.
Ms. Moody,
Yes.
Mr. Broll,
Yes.
Ms. Naylor,
Yes.
Mr. Lalonde,
Yes.
Ms. Julinski, yes. Chairman DeHunt.
Yes. So before we go to public comments, Ms. Brzezowski, can you give us a little background on this before we open it up to the public?
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for having me. So the applicant today decided to table their project for a special land use banquet hall at 24611 Gratiot. They're unable to attend, but the applicant seeks to reoccupy the former East Point Manor building and use it for a banquet hall or event hall. We need more information from the applicant during the July 6th Planning Commission meeting, but we encourage everyone in attendance today to vocalize, if you vocalize your thoughts about the project, and we will take that in consideration for July.
If anybody in the public wishes to be heard, please come to the podium. We should have a piece of paper and a pen. Please write your name down so we have a record of it. And the podium is yours if anybody wishes to be heard on this project.
Good evening. My name is Shirley Peak. I've been a resident on Bell Avenue for 73 years. I have seen Carpenter's Hall built and how it was handled. I've seen East Point Manor taken over by Benny and Dominic Bomarito, handled very well. The only problems they ever had was like parking, because the lot sometimes was not big enough and they had to use a lot across the street. And naturally, the residents did not want parking along the street. I am interested in why, if it's just going to be a banquet hall, why are they advertising on that sign about this entertainer? And it seems strange because at 5:30 in the morning when I would come down to Bell and Gratiot, that sign was so bright, it was blinding. But in the daytime it's off, and then at nighttime it's on again. Actually, I'm wondering also, the parking lot is atrocious. It's a sore eye to our entire neighborhood. It needs to be redone. And over in the southwest corner of that parking lot, they had debris piled up there with branches and leaves and grass. They've taken some of it away. But our code enforcer can come right down the street and see it as plain as day, and it's still there. So I think there's a lot of things to be, we need a lot more information on this hall. And I really don't think that it should be more than the way it was operated when Bomarito was there. Any more than that, we're going to have problems with parking coming down to Gratiot, because when that whole block takes over with marijuana, on the next street you got that child care center, and now they want to do this here at this hall. I think that you just got to think long and hard of what's going to happen down there, because it's going to be one big mess. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this matter? Anyone else? Seeing none, can I get a motion from our commission to table this public hearing until the July meeting? Yes.
If I may?
Yes.
Thanks. And I would like just to add that everyone in attendance today, feel free to attend the July 6th Planning Commission meeting as well, when we discuss with the applicants in the room the project in more detail.
I would actually second that. It'll be your last shot at well, I don't want to say confronting, but hearing what they have to say and posing your concerns, so.
I'm prepared to make that motion, but I need to make a statement first. I'll be a third person in on that. Please come back next month. In the time being, come down here to City Hall, look at the documentation we have on this, and let your neighbors know. Let your neighbors know what's going on in their neighborhood, because the last thing this commission wants to do is make a decision and then have a bunch of neighbors upset because they weren't involved in it. I know everyone within a 300-foot radius received notice of this, but you don't have to live within 300 feet to speak on it. Having said that, I will make a motion to table the rest of this public hearing until the July 6, 2023 meeting.
Support.
Do we have any other conversation or from the commission before we take the roll call?
I have a
We
question.
generally don't discuss on a motion to table.
Okay.
My question is, are we tabling the public hearing?
Yes.
Or are we
Tabling the public hearing.
Okay.
It means we're going to leave it open and allow it to continue at the next meeting.
Be the longest public hearing in a long time.
I don't know, I was here real late one night.
All right, we have motion by Commissioner Lubeck, and we have support, and was it, Ms. Ulinski, was he the support? No. Do we have support for, Ms. Moody, I'm sorry. Ms. Moody supported. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lubeck?
Yes.
Ms. Moody?
Yes.
Mr. Broll?
Yes.
Ms. Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lalonde?
Yes.
Ms. Ulinski, yes. Chairman DeHunt?
Yes. And seeing as how we tabled that, we probably, can I get a motion to table items A and B under new business, as this will move forward to the July meeting?
Should we make those motions separately?
Mr. Albright, does that need to be separately, or can we do them together?
Being they're separate agenda items, I'd recommend a separate motion.
Okay. Can I get a motion from somebody to recommend tabling item A concerning the approval for special land use request for Total Experience Banquet Hall?
So moved.
Second.
We have motion and support. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lubeck?
Yes.
Mr. Lalonde?
Yes.
Mr. Broll?
Yes.
Ms. Naylor?
Yes.
Ms. Ulinski, yes. Ms. Moody?
Yes.
And Chairman DeHunt?
Yes. Moving on to item B, to table, consideration for approving the site plan for Total Experience Banquet Hall. Do we have a motion to table that?
I move to table that until the January 6th meeting.
January?
July. You guys messed me up with that earlier conversation.
Support.
But yes, I do mean July 6th, 2023.
We have motion from Commissioner.
Support.
And we have support from Ms. Moody. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Lubeck?
Yes.
Ms. Moody?
Yes.
Mr. Broll?
Yes.
Ms. Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lalonde?
Yes.
Ms. Ulinski, yes. Chairman DeHunt?
Yes. Wow, let's just move it right along.
You just jinxed us.
No, we're gonna be fine. Okay. Item C, new business, Ms. Brazaszewski.
Chair, I'll speak to this site
Thank you.
plan if I may.
Ms. Smith?
Thank you, Chair. So the application, or the site plan for 15163 10 Mile is to renovate the existing building there, which was previously known as Last Call Bar and Grill. And the proposal is to reoccupy and renovate it so that it's an enclosed car wash. Now, this property is in our B3 General Commercial Business District, which is permitted by right to have an enclosed car wash on site. The building is non-conforming with the setbacks on 10 Mile, and so that restricts them from being able to enlarge the building, but they are allowed to renovate and reoccupy. So tonight, we are looking at some of the site plan considerations. There are numerous elements that we propose that should be changed, and then there's two elements that we recommend Planning Commission to discuss tonight to decide on how it should be handled. The changes that should be made, well, first of all, they'll have to combine the two parcels, but then some of the required changes includes expanding the vehicle stacking and maneuvering lane from 11 feet to 12 feet, consolidating into a centrally located ingress and egress curb cut of 30 feet with a 6 feet wide landscaping island. There are some concerns about the cars being able to maneuver efficiently through the egress of the building onto the egress curb cut on 10 Mile. And so we do ask that the applicant provides a concept plan featuring the drive approach options so that a 20-foot long vehicle can efficiently move out of the building after receiving a car wash without scratching the building or not being able to see and having blind spots or causing congestion. So we do ask for a concept plan there. Additionally, we ask that they relocate the dumpster from the corner which abuts the residential property to the rear of the building. And then we also ask that they remove the excess asphalt which is located in the public right-of-way. And then the two elements that Planning Commission should discuss tonight on how to handle is the proposed stacking spaces. So by the zoning ordinance, they're required 15 stacking spaces, and they propose 9. It is guided stacking. There's a gate, and so they'll regulate when cars are flowing through the right-of-way and looping around. But this is something that the Planning Commission will need to consider waiving the requirement to 9 spaces. And you should also consider some of the architectural features on the building. I know the arched awning kind of gives it its character right now. And so you should consider if that's something that you want to preserve for the community, or if the applicant may proceed with removing the awning and having a flat facade.
Okay. I'm assuming you gentlemen are with the car wash company? If you could write your name on the sheet of paper, please. Is there a sheet of paper?
There isn't.
Okay. Well, we have no sheet of paper for the gentleman.
But I can tell you who I am.
Thank you, for the
Okay.
record at least.
All right, I'm Will Baydoun of WB Development. I'm both a general contractor and a developer for this site. And after communicating with the planning director in my, we've come to basically an agreement that whatever variances that you may have, we'll definitely comply with. Now, the only thing that I may want, if there's a way we can put up the, where the egress is, what you guys were talking about. Okay, so I know I'm not going to be on the mic here, but the only situation here, the reason why we did a new approach here is because if you're trying to turn a car to have one central approach, that might be challenging, both for cars going in and out. We felt that this would be the best design, because then, again, we're not worried about, let's say, blind spots, because we're proposing that we would have the sidewalk come all the way across here, and then, again, angle back to go to the existing sidewalk. So we felt, for safety reasons, for cars being where they don't stack up against one another, we felt this was the best approach to both get cars in and then out. And again, I'll leave it up to you guys as far as design, if what makes sense. I mean, we can make things work any way you like, but I'm just looking out for the future, for cars not having any problems as far as getting in or not, in or out. And the biggest thing is safety too. So that's probably one of the only variances that's on the agenda that I think I would consider for you guys to reconsider it. If you guys have any questions for me, please.
Yes.
One comment that I forgot to address in the overview is, so one of the issues with the proposed additional egress is that it would be within 25 feet from an existing egress to the west of the property that serves the adjacent property. and the zoning ordinance does not permit an additional egress to be within 25 feet of an existing driveway. So that would be one issue with the proposed additional egress. And again, as you all know, we are actively trying to avoid additional ingress egress for safety of pedestrians. But I do understand the concern of making sure there's enough maneuvering space. And so that's why we do ask for a concept plan that would be reviewed administratively, and we work with the applicant to make sure, again, that it's an option that is conducive to vehicles, as well as complies with the ordinance and would work as one ingress egress.
Mr. Lubeck.
On that egress, they could certainly, if we decide that this plan seems more suitable, go for a variance on that, as that would be a practical difficulty. Is that not correct?
Sure. We do not recommend a variance as the possible avenue because a variance is only used in situations of hardship, and there's no physical limitation forbidding the applicant for following the rules of the zoning ordinance. So we would not recommend a variance if the applicant were to even apply for a variance because there's no physical hardship.
Does anybody have any follow-up questions or comments?
Can I ask, so right to the west of the building, where there is an approach right there, is that a right-of-way? Because so I'm kind of like confused as why there would be an approach right there, and if there's a way we can close it up, I mean, and talk to the neighbor next door, or even if we were to either close it up or with our expense, move it over if they felt that they needed it, because it's kind of wide open to, I believe that's like a liquor store or something that's there, and it's pretty wide open, and since I've been studying the property, I haven't seen anybody go into that approach. Everybody uses the approach that's further west.
Yeah, thank you for, Chair, if I may. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for bringing that up, and that is an option that we could explore by entering an access agreement with the adjacent property and reworking the ingress egress there as a possible solution and way for both sites to utilize and
Yeah, I just want a win-win for everybody, you know, I want, obviously, I've been designing for a long time, 20-some years, and I feel, like I said, safety's up and most important, and flow of traffic, and that particular approach, yeah, it just doesn't even make any sense.
Sure.
Please.
A point of clarification, that drive to the left side and the access way that runs along that building on the west side, who owns that? I thought that was part of this plan.
No.
Part of it is?
No, the property that we are looking at today, 15163, it ends at the west line of the building.
It does.
So the property line ends here,
Okay.
and this is the adjacent property which abuts the side of the building.
Understood. Thank you.
And the property behind the alley, is that East Point or is that Roseville?
That is East Point, and this here, this lot is part of the property that we're considering today, and then the house behind it is Roseville.
Okay.
So right behind the alley is East Point, but then the residential property behind that is Roseville. And just to clarify, it would be the applicant and the owner of the adjacent property that would enter an access agreement together,
Should the owner choose to do so?
should the owner choose to do so, yeah.
Given the state of his parking lot, he has nothing, I do actually, sadly, I've used that entrance point once or twice, maybe the 5 times a year that I go to that liquor store. But it's an awkward spot, but that would be a great workaround, is moving that over. And it would be a nice larger green space. You could actually make something look nice there. Does anybody else have any?
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
So regarding the 9 stacking spots, the way it looks to me when I look at the drawing, the plan, the floor plan, is you've got 5 vehicles that can stack up to the east of the building, and then you wrap around, you go through the alley and wrap around on the backside of that parking lot. Is that backside, past the alley, is that where additional spots are? So there's probably 2 there, right?
Yes, 2 to 3,
Okay, and do
Depending
you
on the
count any spots in the alley itself?
not in the alley.
Okay. Okay.
Ms. Smith, I'm going to ask a crazy question. With your fancy little stylus, can you show us where you would like to see the stacking of the cars?
Yes. So there would be a stacking immediately behind the opening of the building.
Okay,
And then this is gonna be resurfaced, so these like barricades will be removed.
okay.
And again, it'll depend on the length of the building, or the vehicle, which can be up to 20 feet. But I would anticipate you can have a car here. You can even measure it. That's 14 feet, so 14 to 20 feet. That's 19 feet. And then you'd have another 20 feet. I'm gonna move this back a foot. 1, 2. And then 3. Back a foot. So that would be up to 3 spots there. The other additional spots then would be as they drew on the application. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And again, this asphalt should be removed, and there shouldn't be any vehicle stacking within the public right-of-way.
And then we're proposing the employees would do street parking.
They would park in the very rear of the parking lot behind the alley. So this is where
So I
there's
have a
9
question.
spots there.
Ms. Uliski?
So the employees are going to park in the back. Is this car wash going to have vacuums? Like, why are we doing parking spots? Are the parking spots for vacuum use if it's going to have vacuums?
No, so-
I guess I'm kind of confused on the
Yeah,
parking and the
there won't be
purpose.
any vacuums in the back where the residentials are. No, not, that's strictly parking only
For employees?
for employees. Yeah, in fact, we're gonna, one of the things that the planning commission has suggested too is for us to move the dumpster, which, from the back corner closer to the alley, which will also free up one more spot there. So we're gonna have, as far as employee parking, we're gonna have plenty of employee parking. This type of car wash is considered like an express car wash, so there is no one's gonna actually sit there and either dry cars or doing any vacuuming.
Okay.
If in the future we go to vacuums, we'll set them on the side of the building. Right.
Well,
right-
won't that take up,
It'll be, if anything, like it'll be two spots parallel to the building, which we've done that with other car washes before. So it's not, yeah, so there's no vacuuming or drying or anything where it's in the back, and it's not going to be in the way of the stacking of the cars.
okay.
Yeah.
And then my other question is, because that alley is a public right-of-way, when they're turning, how are you going to prevent the blocking of that alleyway?
So as far as blocking the alley, obviously the employee that's on duty would. And one of the questions I had before bringing this up to the planning commission, are we able to use the alley itself? And the answer I had was yes, we were able to use it. But when I say use it, meaning actually, like go through. Now, are we going to be able to prevent 100% of cars not blocking the alley. I mean, there's no 100% in anything, but we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that nobody actually blocks the alley.
What is everything you can? What does that mean?
First of all, we'll have signs up, and then our employee that's gonna be at the door is gonna make sure, that's one of his jobs, is he's gonna make sure that the cars don't block the alley. Plus, it would be a little bit difficult for a car to block the alley, because we're gonna have the pay station where the pay station is a sensor. So when a car goes into the car wash, it knows that car goes into the car wash. Then that gate is lifted to allow the next car to go into where the last spot to be stacked. So it would be almost impossible. I can't say impossible, but it'd be next to impossible for a car to block that alley, just because one sensor that's at the car wash basically sends a signal, or it tells the gate, now the car is in the wash, now that gate can be lifted.
Mr. Lubeck?
Okay, I'm looking at my drawings here. And it was said that the property line is at the west side of the building they want to put the car wash in. However, it looks to the north of the alley, that parking area on the north side of the alley, the property line actually exists farther to the west.
Yes, this is correct. On the first page of the review, it shows each of the, because right now they're two separate parcels, and so their property lines are at different points. They don't line up. The property line for the parking in the rear exceeds past the west side of the property, but the parcel that is facing or abutting 10 Mile, that property line does end at the west side of the building.
Okay, so the two parcels are the one that fronts Leach, which is that parking area that currently is housing the dumpster location.
Correct.
And then the second parcel is the property that faces 10 Mile.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Smith, can you touch on the lighting plan and how it may impact the resident behind this, especially the back
Yes.
parking lot?
Yeah, so the plan right now is to have a light pole in the parking area, which is generally good practice for safety of employees. And this is the photometric plan. So the light would be 20 feet high, and the wall is 6 feet, so it would exceed the height of the wall. But by zoning, the ordinance does allow for a light to abut a residential property as long as it's not higher than 20 feet, so it is within compliance. So there would be some spillover lighting, and if the commission feels it's necessary, we could ask the applicant to provide the photometric plan for what will spill over into the residential property. But based on the required wattage and height of the light, it is in compliance with our ordinance as
So
proposed.
what I would ask you is there a shield or something that the applicant can buy to protect the neighboring backyard from all that light at night?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head what that specific device or attachment would be, but it is a downward casting light, and it does have some shielding already. But that is something that could be requested.
Let me ask it a different way. Is there a shield? Maybe you don't know the details. Is there such a
Yeah,
product?
I believe so,
Yeah,
yes.
that particular light has a shield, and then what we've done in the past, if for any reason, if it's directed straight down, we can actually angle it to feed more of the parking lot, and you get less light into the residential.
So are you saying though that this light, is the shield directional? Like,
No, no,
you
not-
shield a certain area, or is it just that it's shielded
It's-
from the sides and it only points down?
Yeah, no, the shield is completely all the way around.
Right.
So, yeah, so.
What I'm asking though is, how do you protect the neighbor's backyard from having
Okay, so-
light in it? That light pole is literally right on the line. It's abutting the fence. And right on the other side of the
Yeah.
fence is the neighbor's
Yeah.
backyard.
And it's, and to kind of answer your question, it's not out of the ordinary. That's, if you look at most businesses, that's why we provide a photometric plan, is to basically say, as long as our light is within the ordinance, meaning like we're not shining into somebody's, there's no direct shine into someone's backyard. Yeah, you're gonna, any light, whether it's a candle light or any kind of light, is gonna be directional, right? I mean, it's gonna radiate in all directions. What we can do is minimize as much as we can by angling it towards the, instead of having it straight down, we can angle it towards the building or the parking lot.
I mean, I would definitely include that, but I'm gonna double back to Ms. Smith. Is there any other way that you can think of to protect? I mean, that light post is right on the fence. If it was 10 feet away, it would be a different story. It's right on the fence. How do we protect the neighbor?
One thing that could be done is that the height is actually lowered on the light, and it could be something that we work on that with the applicant administratively as well. But again, off the top of my head, I don't know a specific device that would block, but I'm sure there is an attachment to the light that can shield and protect the residential property further.
I mean, okay, so thank you. At a minimum, I like the idea that you proposed. But again, administratively, if there's anything else we can do, and to double back and just make sure that that is done, would not necessarily be good for the neighboring, to have light shining in the backyard.
Additionally, we could require that the foot candle measurement of the light and the output of the light is reduced. That would be an additional option.
But these are all things you can handle administratively.
Yes.
And I think that's a good idea, and yeah, administratively.
And there is one thing I'd like to add to it. So, again, that light is not going to be beyond past hours of operation. You know, once the employees leave, that light is going to be off too. I mean, which is not like a shopping center light, right, where it's on all throughout the night until dawn or until daylight, right? So
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any more questions for the planners, but I do have questions for the applicant. Somebody else?
I have a question for the planners. Looking at the diagram, you see where the cars are entering in, and then they are crossing the alley. They're making a circle, and then they're entering. At that point, are we just standing and depending on the employees to direct them across that alley to circle back into the entrance?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And like I had stated before, so if you look at that car that's entering the car wash, so until that car enters that car wash, the gate will not lift. So just because you put your money in or do whatever you do, yeah, go ahead.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. However, look at that last car. You see car 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
So he's right at the alley. That car must cross the alley.
Yeah.
To come around for the gate to go up for him to go into the car wash. At that third car, suppose there's someone walking the alley or on a bike or something, is there going to be a stop sign or something to stop that car instead of just speeding across the alley?
Okay, so again, I can work with your traffic safety on that and to put a sign if need to be. Yeah, so we're willing to do whatever is necessary to make sure that, of course, the safety of pedestrians most and foremost, and then obviously the other safety would be for other vehicles that are crossing into the, yeah, absolutely. So we'll work with your again, whoever we have to with the, I don't know if it's the police or the planning commission, whoever we have to work with to put the appropriate signs up. And we know, just like in regular traffic, we can do everything to deter something from happening, but there's no way we can guarantee anything from happening.
By the way, is the whole path, is it painted on the ground? Obviously not in the alleyway, but is it painted? How do they know to go across to the other side of that parking lot and not just cut right through? Just hang a left to go in the alley. How do they know that?
Okay, can you repeat that question, please? What's you mean?
Well, I'm wondering if I'm paying at the point of sales,
Yes.
how do I know that I need to actually cross the alley and drive, 30, 40 feet there in that parking lot and then cross back over the alley? How do I know
So
that?
you're not in the alley trying to get out?
I'm saying, how do I know that?
So again, we can do that with signage, and then with the employee being there, if anybody's trying to turn, they're gonna be like, yeah, you gotta keep going. But we can definitely say pull forward, to enter into the car wash.
I mean, I think it needs to be clear, right? You can hire an employee to sit there and play traffic cop, but I think it's more powerful to have information that people can view, right?
Absolutely.
And I mean, you were asking about a sign or something, I think that's appropriate, totally appropriate in this situation.
Absolutely. And what we can do, and our signage can all be right in here. So it doesn't have to be across the street. So as they're pulling into the pay station, and then even right next to the pay station, we can say, make sure you're pulling forward into alley, where we can have on both sides, so it'll be like, hey, other than we're feeding you with a spoon, we're giving you direction of how to get in there. And I think a combination with that and the employee, after, what we found, after time, it becomes second nature because people start to know, how that particular business works or operates, and the flow just becomes natural, if you will. But yeah, in the beginning, there might be a little bit of, where we have to do some direction, and absolutely we'll have signage.
So obviously, this is handled administratively, signage and so on and so forth. But obviously, you can gather from the planning commission how we really want to protect the courts and protect people in the alleyway and make this easy and sensible. So that's part of the administrative approval process.
And not put their employee in a position that might not be a really good position when they're directing traffic if you.
Chair, may I add, I very much hear your concerns with, you don't want the public alley blocked, so I would recommend adding to the motion then that a sign should be added right adjacent to the automatic gate that says do not block the alley.
Yeah.
Additionally, I think that paintings on the pavement is a good idea, so that we could add a white, thick line that represents stopping behind the line at the side of the alley there.
Yeah, we could put an arrow on the ground too. like
Yeah,
we paint-
and an arrow as
With a
well.
white, with maybe a black arrow. Keep moving, yeah, absolutely.
And then it doesn't stand out, it's on the pavement. It blends in and it directs traffic.
Commissioner Lubeck?
I have a question for the applicant.
Sure.
You mentioned the light at the back of the property not being on after business hours. What are your intended business hours?
So I would have to ask the owner, if you want to come up here.
Hey guys, doing?
Hi.
Business hour would be from 10 to 9, I think, or 10 to 8.
And if I can add, that would more than likely be in the summertime because the way car washes work, at nighttime, there's no real business. So obviously in the wintertime, you might want to go till 7 p.m.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it gets dark early.
Yeah, and then max, like what we call summer hours, probably 9, 10 o'clock, and then this is something we can visit as far as administratively and obviously with your blessings too, so.
Go ahead.
Another question I have, okay, so you have a gate
Yeah.
at the east side to somewhat regulate getting into the alleyway. What about after the turn to go into the car wash? What's going to prevent somebody from going through that turn and into the alleyway waiting to get into the car wash?
And blocking, and again, that's something that we can definitely do either by signage, don't block the alleyway, or we can look into, if you ever seen them, those small type of traffic lights where it says green, full forward, red, you just kind of stop right there. I mean, there's definitely solutions to everything as far as making sure that people don't block the alleyway going into the car wash.
Okay, I have another question. And that is with the stacking.
Yeah.
We all live in Michigan. We've seen the bright, sunny, 40-degree day after 3 weeks of freezing weather and ice and snow and salt on the ground. How are you going to prevent cars from backing up onto 10 Mile, trying to get into the stacking area on the car wash property?
And that's a great question, and if I had the answer to that, I don't think I'd be standing here, I'd be somewhere else, but it's hard, there's no way that could ever, no matter what business it is, and especially anything that has, whether it's a drive-through or car wash, there's nothing that we can prevent that from happening. I mean, it could, but then there's the days where there's probably not going to be 2 cars going through that.
Those are not the days that bother me.
I know.
But I'm familiar with 2 car washes along 9 Mile. And you get one of those days I just described, and they've got traffic backed up either on Kelly Road or on 9 Mile, waiting to get into the car wash.
Yeah, and the nice thing about 10 Mile, it is a 2-lane, so it's not one lane going one way, and so, again, there's.
My recommendation would be to put signs, there is no parking on 10 Mile, there's no standing or parking on 10 Mile.
Yeah.
We have this, well, we don't. Roseville has this issue with one at Frazo and Gratiot, and it is an absolute nightmare.
Okay.
Because they will back on to Gratiot, and it is a nightmare waiting to happen. So I would love to see signs, please do not stand or park on Gratiot waiting.
And we're
Or
willing to
on 10 Mile.
comply.
I mean, plus this is a very new car wash equipment, very new, so it's faster. The car goes through the car wash much faster, like 2 minutes, I think. I don't have 2.5 minutes per car, so it moves faster.
Okay.
Well, speed limit on 10 miles, 40 miles an hour. I haven't seen a car wash you can go through at 40 miles an hour to keep up with the road traffic.
No, you're absolutely right, and we'll, like I say, we'll do everything that, working with this panel to, whether signage or do whatever we can to prevent any type of stacking or standing.
Okay, and then I have one more concern with the exit of the car wash.
Yes.
You don't have very much room between the exit to the car wash and the sidewalk and/or the roadway. And what are your plans to keep that free from water runoff from the cars on that exit from freezing up the sidewalk and creating an icy patch on the road?
Okay, so, very good question. And what we've done in the past, again, the only thing we can do is try to do as much preventative action as possible, and that is by salting it, during the winter months. And of course, during the summer, there's no way of preventing water from not being, going onto the, onto 10 Mile, just like if it was a rainy day, right? Water's water. I can't stop water from going onto the concrete, but I definitely can prevent icing. And other than that, I mean, it's the same issue with almost every single car wash that's out there. I would hate to say it's the nature of the beast, but it is. It really is. All we can do as developers and contractors is to make sure that we do as much preventive action as possible, and I'm kind of repeating myself by saying, yeah, to de-icing and salting is the only thing we can do in the wintertime.
Chair, oh,
All right,
I'll go after.
we'll go, Ms. Moody, we'll go to you.
Thank you.
Something was just mentioned that was very interesting. On Gratiot, there's a median. So when the cars would come out the car wash on Fraser, they automatically turn right. 10 Mile, there's no median. So when the cars exit out of the parking structure, the car wash, should there not be a sign to only allow them to turn right?
That's a good point, and I would
Because
not,
if
I would
they
not be
exit
opposed
out-
to that.
If
That-
someone wants to go
Yes.
left,
Hold
you're
up
gonna
the
have,
line.
you're gonna hold up traffic.
Yeah, that's a
So
good
that's
point.
another sign that should be considered.
Ms. Brashevsky?
Okay, great. Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Commissioner Moody. I appreciate that point. In the revised motion list, that's why we added the condition to, let's see, was it 4? Yeah, 4. The applicant must consolidate the existing curb cut to the east into one centrally located ingress-egress. Curb cuts cannot be within 25 feet of another one. The curb cut must be delineated appropriately with inflow and outflow painted arrows and provide a 6-foot wide landscape island to separate between the traffic flow. This is our method of helping guide traffic to go eastbound and prohibit, westbound and prohibit eastbound
Gotcha.
turns. But I do have one more other point, if I may.
Please.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just want to have it on the record that the applicant will have to relocate their light pole because they cannot exceed 0.5-foot candles along a residential property line.
That's fine.
Okay,
No
thank you.
problem.
Any other comments down this way?
So with that landscape, will that only make them be able to turn right?
Can't hear you.
Yes, it would be a guided lane, so it would.
So there's no way
to
they
the
could
right.
go left?
They would hit the curb
Yeah,
if they
I'll-
tried.
Okay, I just want to make sure,
Yeah.
because we have signs on 9 Mile, no left turns, and people turn
Yeah.
left consistently.
Yeah, a sign can be added as well, and so there would be 2 mechanisms to prevent left-hand turns.
Signs, everywhere a
I
sign.
like signs. Better than rope lighting.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned that guided curb cut. Just to the west of the party store and pizza place, which is just to the west of this proposed car wash, is a Speedway gas station. And right there, if you take a look at that seemingly guided entranceway right off of the side street, believe me, people are turning right out of there continually.
So to Ms. Moody's point, signs need to be placed as well.
Right here.
Yeah.
This curb cut right here.
Do you always bring a laser pointer?
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm prepared for the meeting.
Did you?
Potential.
Yes, I think that was,
He's gonna move
not,
to
on the- yeah,
modify
on the other
it, yeah.
side, yeah.
I'm just saying, even though you attempt to try to do that, people are gonna be people. They're not gonna read signs, and they're gonna do what they wanna do.
People are people, another song. Planners, can you clarify point number 6 of your proposed recommendation or motion? I'm
Yes,
sorry, number
so-
5, number 5, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
number 5.
Yep.
That would be, the concept plan that's proposed is with the idea that there'd be one centrally located ingress egress, and to show that a vehicle can properly exit the building without scratching the car or going onto the sidewalk. And so that would be something that we would work with the applicant on and look at the option of adjusting or moving the egress on the western property that abuts this property. So in either circumstance, whatever the solution is, we ask that a concept plan featuring the drive options are provided so that it shows that a car can properly maneuver out of the building after receiving a car wash.
I thought, yeah, the way I read it at first, thank you for explaining it, I thought the concern was that from the edge of the building to the sidewalk was 18 feet, 6 inches. So if you have a 20-foot car and you're coming out of that, you're gonna hit the sidewalk. You can't, I mean, if it's a conveyor belt system and there's cars behind you, you have to move forward. And so I thought maybe the concern was that there's not enough room or needs to be a remedy. So if you have a longer vehicle and there are people, there's some impediment on the sidewalk, there's a way to not run people over.
Yeah, so that would be worked out with the concept plan. I mean, yeah, because your car is in neutral, right? And so you are going to have to wait for your vehicle to start turning in. But that would be the idea of the concept plan to show the appropriate movement of the vehicle and how that should.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a new concept with other car washes we have, but I thought that is, there's somewhat of a concern there, so. Yeah, especially if it's, the traffic's backed up.
One other thing to note is that with all egresses, they do have to cross the public right-of-way sidewalk. So that is pretty standard, but it's the amount of time that they're there, right? And making sure that there's enough space in the curb cut for them to wait here to turn.
Yeah, but that's coming in, right? My concern
Oh,
is
yeah.
they're coming out of the drive-through, out of their car's clean, they're coming out of it. They only have 18 feet, 6 inches, and then they're hitting the sidewalk, right?
Yeah.
What happens if there's an impediment in the sidewalk? Well, that's, yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Commissioner. I would direct the question to the applicants and ask them how they're remedying this. Perhaps they are drying vehicles within the building and it's more of an open concept plan where a garage door would close at the end of the night and a car would be kind of in and out of the building. I've seen this happen at the Jack's at 11 and Woodward, if anyone's familiar.
Yeah, so, and that is a good question as far as, like, how do you make sure that, you're not blocking the sidewalk knowing that there's other cars coming back, coming out of the car wash itself. The only thing, we can do to control that is through our sensors, of course, we can control that there, like the car that just comes out, is, as long as it's still in that pathway, the other cars will not move forward. And we can definitely control that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
Sensor-driven.
So there's there's not another car coming right out, hitting the
Yeah.
back of the other, yeah.
So the line actually stops?
It stops,
Wow,
absolutely.
interesting.
Yes.
Cool, by the way, very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I mean, the new car washes are
Well,
pardon me?
I was just commenting that that's power and free conveyor, and it's a very old concept, and is used in, same technology is used in just about every auto assembly plant.
Right.
He was telling me I should have known that.
No.
I guess I need to get up to speed on my car wash. I'm good with my questions for the planners. I just have a couple more questions,
Sure.
actually for you, I think.
Although on leaving the car wash, I guess I'm really seeing a benefit if cars are backed up on 10 Mile, is it'll quickly facilitate the right-hand turn out of the car wash with the lane of traffic blocked.
You know, actually, you answered all my questions, but how many employees do you have
So we're gonna have
Working.
4.
operating? Four operating?
No, so 4 total, there's always gonna be 2 on,
So you
two
have
shifts,
two-
2 employees.
One's going to be, obviously, you said, towards the back,
And
looking at the
other one-
back area.
Yeah,
Where's the other one gonna be?
And
What
the
are they
other
doing?
one is gonna be a roamer, where he he's in the front, he's in the back, any kind of supplies, so,
Yeah,
so there's always one roamer and one guy that actually,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, those are my questions, thank you.
Okay, so this is not going to be a type of car wash where you get the end of it, you get a towel dry?
No.
It's just going to be blowers?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just excited that that spot be repurposed as opposed to the violent establishment it was at one time. So it's a beautiful thing, and I appreciate your bending backwards and forwards to accommodate our questions. And I'm sure that Ms. Smith and Ms. Brzezowski will put you all through the ringer too.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
But that's their job. It's their job to keep everybody safe, just as our job, so.
Wasn't there an open question regarding the facade?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm glad.
So
I'm
where do
glad
we
you-
stand, where do we
Okay.
stand with that?
So, and this is something that planning commissioners had brought up. Now, we can definitely do the facade where if you guys like the arches, but I'm thinking if we're gonna do that, we're gonna do something a little bit more modern than what it looks like now. So, we can definitely do the steel awnings, if you ever seen them, like with all the new modern buildings, how they have the steel awnings that are rectangular, but they also make them where you have the arch onto them. Because even the integrity of those arches are not going to be there once we start taking off because we have to take off the roof itself, because we have to raise the roof on that. So the integrity of that is going to be gone anyway. So we can revisit it. We can definitely give you some concepts to look at. But if you like the arches, we'll keep the arches, but a much modern looking arch.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, for me personally, I would want you to do what you want to do. If you have a better looking facade, that's what I would prefer. I don't know how everybody else feels about that, but that would be my opinion.
Okay,
I agree. I think the arches are somewhat dated,
okay.
and I think if you're going to make that investment in a building for your business, you should have the wherewithal to modernize the whole experience. I mean, you got high tech,
Right.
and they were going to go to old arches.
And we appreciate that, and we can definitely do even rectangular type, the awnings. I'm sure you've seen
I'm
them
sure you
before.
designed something that can be
Yeah.
improved, other than the
yeah.
arches. I think that's-
Can I ask the professional planners again? Why why is the recommendation to consider using the existing roof? Is there something to that roof line? Is there some historical aspect, or is it just, why is that recommendation out there?
Yeah, it was to honor kind of a historical aspect because it seems like now a lot of the renovations end up converting buildings to all look the same. And so we identified an element that may preserve some of the character, but if there's no sentimental attachment or feeling that it's worth preserving, or if you don't want any other architectural features to the facade and you're fine with the image on the screen here, that's certainly within the right of the commission.
As much as I appreciate the preservation of things like that, the history of that building is an aberration. And the history of it needs to be washed away, literally.
I only heard about it.
Ugh, I have a friend that got shot there. No, wash it away with your car wash.
Okay.
That's dated. I say improve it.
I guess I want to comment on this because understanding what Ms. Smith just said about the modern buildings all look the same. There was a time you could drive down the street and just by looking at a building, you knew if it was a McDonald's or a Burger King or a Wendy's or whatever. And now when you look at the buildings, I think they are all built by the same person with the same stockpile of materials, and you don't know what it is until you see the sign on it. And that's not appealing to me at all.
You're
It's like
absolutely
the
right.
generic box and we throw a sign on it.
Yeah.
So
And
if
I've
you
done-
are going to change the facade of that, please,
We'll make something.
my request is do something unique.
Okay. We can do that. And just to touch up on your point, I've done quite a few Burger Kings, McDonald's, and Taco Bell, and yeah, they kind of do all look the same.
All right, so if we hammer this all out so we can move on to training? Any other questions, concerns, anything? Going once, going twice? All right. How do you wish to proceed? Do we have a proposed motion, or?
Yes, Chair, I would.
Do we want public input? Is there anybody that? Any input? No? Okay. All right.
Chair, I would recommend amending or building off of the existing motion and adding an additional point to add 3 signage. One of do not block the alley, the other do not block 10 Mile for car stacking and right-hand turn only. Add pavement markings where necessary, and modify the foot candles to meet the ordinance. So three additions to the motion, and also to expand on point 4 that we could modify the curb cut if an access agreement with the adjacent property is reached.
And do we also need to include the facade?
The facade wasn't a
No,
point,
That's curb process.
so I wouldn't have any guidance on specific language with that.
Do we need to say anything? Because I think the
Otherwise,
commission
we're
is
gonna
pretty
make-
much in
we're gonna
agreement
still
that
do
we're not gonna make
curb
this
cut,
poor man
but-
keep the arches.
Yeah, the arches is not a point of the motion,
Okay.
so we're good there.
All right, so do I have somebody willing to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Everything that Ms. just said, do we have a second?
As well as what's in the planner's report, the other points that
Correct.
are in the, include the other points that are in the planner's report.
Mr. Albright, do we need to read this into the record?
Being that it was just handed out at the meeting, I'd recommend that it be read, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think,
Chair?
Mrs. Smith doesn't need to reread her additions, but just for the public, I would read what's contained in the handout.
Mr.
Okay.
Rowe?
I will, Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the site plan for an enclosed car wash at 15163 10 Mile based on the facts that the site plan is generally in compliance with the ordinance, provided that a revised site plan is presented to the city planner to address the comments during the planning commission meeting, and the conditions in the planner's review dated May 25th, 2023, and the required conditions in the engineering letter dated May 25th, 2023, within 3 months of planning commission approval. The conditions of approval include the following revisions. 1, the applicant combines the 2 parcels to be one property. Number 2, the applicant provides the color of the roll-up doors, and the color meets the standard of the ordinance. Number 3, the vehicle stacking lane must be widened by 1 foot to span a total distance of 12 feet. Number 4, the applicant must consolidate the existing curb cut to the east into one centrally located ingress-egress curb cut. I think actually number 4 changes, the nature of number 4 changes a little bit based on the contingency that they could come up with an access agreement. Okay, so I guess, so number 4 is not actually accurate as written, true?
Number 4 would be accurate as written, and it would add unless an access agreement is reached with the abutting property owner.
To the west.
So the default would be that there is a centrally located ingress-egress curb cut that's not 25 feet of another curb cut or intersection that is delineated appropriately with inflow-outflow painting arrows, provides a 6-foot wide landscape island for a total width of 30 feet unless a access agreement is reached with the abutting property owner, and at that time, an alternative ingress egress plan would be administratively reviewed.
That is number 4. Good, thank you. Number 5, the applicant must provide a concept plan featuring drive approach options for 20-foot-long vehicles. The concept plan must be approved administratively. Number 6, the applicant must remove excess asphalt in the public right-of-way along 10 Mile. Number 7, the dumpster must be relocated relocated away from the residential property and must be moved to the northeast corner of the north facade at the rear of the building. Ms. Smith, would you mind reading the other, I think there were 3 or 4 items that we've come up with?
Yes. 8, add 3 additional signage, including do not block the alley, do not block 10 Mile, and right turn only onto 10 Mile. Add pavement markings and modify the lighting, exterior lighting, to meet the foot candle requirement of the ordinance. And to waive the requirement of vehicle stacking from 15 to 9 spaces.
Okay, and then built into the photometric was just the fact that they're gonna have to move the pole. Is that inferred based on your statement?
No, but that could be added as
Item 9.
modify the exterior lighting to meet the foot candle of the ordinance and relocate exterior lighting if needed.
Perfect. That would complete my motion.
I will support that motion.
Secretary, please call the roll for the joint motion.
Mr. Brill,
Yes.
Mr. Lubeck,
Yes.
Ms. Naylor,
Yes.
Mr. Lalonde. Yes. Ms. Julinski, yes. Ms. Moody,
Yes.
Chairman DeHunt.
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you. We really appreciate you. Thank you very much. All right. We got
So-
some work to do.
Since we have no unfinished business, I will move to the second hearing of the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody wish to be heard for the second hearing of the public? Anybody wish to be heard? Seeing none, we will close the second hearing of the public, and we will move on to training.
I'd like to make a motion to open the site plan review workshop.
We have motion. Do we really need a motion to open up training? Yes. We are going to take 5 minutes, and then we'll jump into your training.
Can't wait, Jeff.
Well, you've lost too much weight. right, so you got 10 minutes.
Oh.
So we won't open for questions, we'll just say.
Or just don't ask the same questions. Okay, to ask questions, just listen to what other people ask. So ask it again. Get the plain colors.
We're trying to figure out.
All right, Otis. All right. Ms. Brazaszewski, you have 12 minutes.
Quality, Chair, quality.
You have a quality 12 minutes.
All right, great. So today is an exciting day, Planning Commission, because we get to engage in a workshop on how to review site plans. And yours truly created this workshop. I'm very pleased about it, and I think you'll have some fun doing it as well. Within your packet, you have the presentation. This is your packet to keep. And you also have on the left-hand side a site plan checklist that you will use throughout the activity that we have activity at the end, where you are reviewing a site plan. So on the left side, you have the site plan that you should be looking at, and your abbreviated zoning ordinance to meet all, to understand what the standards are for your site plan, and your checklist to understand how to review the site plan. On the right-hand side, you have the answers. So don't be looking over there, Commissioner Lubeck. Anyway, moving on to the training first. Site plan training. We thank you, Ms. Smith, for helping guide the presentation tonight. We have our agenda of the training, which is to discuss the purpose of site plans, authority of how we can even review site plans, like who gave us that permission, 3 types of development reviews, the checklist, submission deadlines, process flow, how to do a motion, and Commissioner Brohl nailed it today, so maybe we can hear from him again tonight, and the site plan compliance, questions, activity. All right, moving forward to the purpose of site plans. So we need to think about site plans as drawings from the applicant that demonstrate their understanding of our ordinance. We feel heard when applicants get our site plans or get their site plan submissions correct. And a quality site plan is a quality development for the community. The site plan review process determines if the proposed project meets the zoning ordinance requirements, best practices, and laws. Moving to the authority. How do we get the authority to even review a site plan or even be a planning commission? Well, there's 2 enabling acts that we're familiar with because John Jackson gave a presentation actually a year ago today. Wow, we'll make it a thing. Happy anniversary, everybody. I'll tell John you said hello. Anyway, the one act enables the establishment of the Planning Commission, that's the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, and the other act that we use enables the development and administration of a zoning ordinance which provides the power to review site plans, and that's the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. Now we'll talk about moving swiftly, aren't we, Chair? All right, now we're talking about the different types of reviews. So our next slide shows the different types of reviews: plot plan, sketch plan, site plan, and construction plans. How each review, what products are used for, or projects are used for each review, and the reviewing authority. So plot plans move into more like minor renovations of single-family homes or 2-family structures. A renovation or construction of a 1 or 2 family structure. So Michigan state law made this movement, I don't remember when, I'm not the building official, but to allow for single family homes to be built by just issuing a plot plan and not going through the entire site plan process. And that was to help provide more homes and help more people become homeowners and navigate or increase our supply in housing. So single-family homes and 2-family structures only require a plot plan, and they're overseen by the building official. Also, constructions for a new accessory structure and reuse and reoccupancy of existing structures that do not require modifications are a plot plan. So that's the easy tier, not lots going on except for like family home construction plot plan. Then we go to a sketch plan, which, congratulations, the City of East Point has a proposed ordinance to allow for the administrative review of a site plan, which we call a sketch plan. And a sketch plan has a little bit less requirements than a site plan. It involves projects that have minor modifications and that do not require special land use and a variance. City planners review that along with the engineer and the building official, and probably the fire marshal too. Sorry, Alton. An example of a sketch plan? Sure. So you guys remember, where was this guy? Nine Mile or you would remember, Vice Chair Lubeck. This guy, Diablo Construction Company, wanted to add an addition. Stevens?
That was on Stevens, and I wasn't on the commission when that was heard.
All right, well, you do remember. Anyway, so he has an existing building on Stevens, but wanted to add an addition to his existing building. His addition was minor in nature, was less than 25% of the total floor area increase in total floor area. So he could have just gone through to us, the planning department, and the city engineer and the fire marshal, and instead he was required to attend a planning meeting, hire, he would already have to hire an architect, but attend the planning commission meeting, which time is money for developers. Is that an example you're looking for? Cool. Okay, great. And then, sure. Ooh, that's a plot plan. Yeah, a plot plan does not need to be hand-drawn by a licensed architect. Or does not need to be drawn by a licensed architect.
Nor with the use of a ruler
Or graph paper.
or graph paper.
I thought we were tabling this until July.
It's called taking a shot at a shoddy plot plan. Next.
All right, no, I really appreciate all your feedback and thanks for making this interactive. Thank you. Please, any questions or thoughts? Maybe not thoughts, Commissioner Lubeck. Okay, so.
Well, my thought was you should have used graph
great.
paper and a straight edge.
Moving on.
Moving on. Site plan is the next. These are projects that are not minor and entail new construction or a special land use or a variance. Our whole team here that's in the room today, except for our city engineer and police chief, review these site plans. And then the last that I wanted to just shine light on is construction plans. Construction plans are always part of the process when an applicant engages in new construction. So just wanted to put that out there. And the city engineer and building official oversee that. Okay, that was a lot of information. We have, if you were looking into this, the next slide is a definition of what means minor modification. I thought Commissioner Broll might ask me, so I put this slide up there. But as I mentioned, in addition, so a minor modification includes an addition to existing building that does not increase the footprint by more than 25%. It could be reoccupancy, changes to building height. Okay, that is a minor modification. Okay, moving on. We have a quiz. Oh, this is interactive. Could you move to the next slide? Thank you, Ms. Smith. Do we need a site plan for construction of single-family homes? Yes or no?
No.
No. Nice job, everybody. All right, no. What is required instead?
Plot plan.
Plot plan. Okay, right on, you guys. Nice work. We did something. We're going places. Do we need a site plan for reoccupancy involving an addition that increases the building footprint by 30%? Yes. Yeah. More than 25. Oh, see? We're clicking. We're vibing. Me and the planning commission. You guys are my favorite, by the way. All right.
She
No,
probably
I actually don't.
Are there awards after?
What was the previous slide? Okay, so the next slide, we're focusing on our site plan checklist. And you guys are familiar with site plan checklists and site plan reviews because you are the planning commission. So I was wondering if you can quiz name some categories of standards that we use to review a site plan.
Harmonious with the neighboring community.
Yeah, neighbor character, well done, thank you. Perfect. Includes other ordinances, other guides from the city, for sure. Thank you.
We're just talking about will it use city resources. Right?
Yeah, that's it. Is it excessive or will it meet the public services already at the site today, and will it cause an additional use? So a lot of these that we're saying here are relevant for site plans, but they're definitely relevant for our special land use reviews. Site plans more so focus on the physical nature of the exterior of the building, the premise of the building. So we were talking about the lighting and the circulation, landscaping, waste containers and dumpster enclosures, parking. Exactly. Now we're flowing. Now we're vibing. Okay.
Lighting,
What'd you say?
lighting.
Lighting. Yep, 100% lighting. Do you mind going to the next slide, please? Ms. Smith, thank you. So we have the categories listed here, and then a couple notes of things that you said, like, let's see, location of property lines, Commissioner Naylor. I guess more descriptive and identification data would be what you were saying, Commissioner Broll. But we have parking, lighting, landscaping. These are our review categories. And you'll see these review categories in the checklist. Actually, East Point just debuted, if you don't mind. No, we just debuted something really great. It's a new site plan checklist. It's consolidated. It has all of the standards. It's not redundant, and it's well designed. It's live on the website, but also featured in your packet today. Although I do have to say that you have a shortcut version of it. We didn't put the engineering requirements in your site plan checklist today because we're not engineers. Moving on. We have another quiz. Oh,
Gave the answer.
well, let me just read it. Well, all right, if all site plan, I'll say the next one, but if all site plan criteria is met, can we deny a plan?
No.
No, exactly. Yes, we have to approve a plan if the standards are met, no matter how much we don't like, or, sorry, I guess it's recorded. But
fine.
if we don't like it, we have to approve it, if they meet the standards. And the next question is, can we add conditions of approval for a site plan?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but in moderation, with reason. Thank you. Planning Commission can only require standards that the zoning ordinance regulates. The special land use, on the other hand, we have a little bit more leeway of what we can require for a condition, but the site plan is it's more straightforward. It's more objective than subjective.
You mean like signage and painted markings on the ground?
Exactly. Yeah. Anything to help the
In
traffic flow.
Mr. Broll's stellar motion.
Exactly. Anything that helps the pedestrian and vehicle traffic circulation is a condition that we could impose on a site plan because traffic and vehicle circulation or pedestrian vehicle circulation is a standard of review. All right, moving quickly along here. Submission deadlines. We just wanted to be transparent and communicative to you guys that we have submission deadlines for applicants. So you can see in our calendar that's also posted on the city planning webpage that if you want to attend a meeting in, I don't know, no, here, I can't really, July 6th, then your deadline to submit material is June 6th, which gives the planners, engineers, fire marshal, fire chief, police chief, everyone a substantial amount of time, 1 month time, to review the material and get it to you guys 1 week before for your packets. And then also, if we need to schedule a public hearing notice, as you can see in the third column, we also have that date of when we need to send it to the paper. So we are a little organized back here. Moving on. Yes, Commissioner.
I'm in the training for the MSU Extension's the Citizens Planner Program.
Right.
And last night, I believe it was, they were speaking on, they're going to consider, what am I trying to say? You're saying they have to put it in the paper,
Yes.
the site plan. They're now thinking about doing it a different way now because they're saying that people don't read the paper. Oh, I'm sorry. Have you heard anything about that?
I have when I attended the citizen planner training, and I am so for this. I don't know if Ms. Smith has any other advice on this or thoughts on this, because I know that your ears are to the ground with related planning policy. But we definitely hear it, and like papers are getting outdated. They're also hard for the communities to reach if they don't have papers. You know, it seems like it's an obstruction to development, but I think also city council member would like to speak.
I was just going to say, I think a bill's been introduced in the legislature for like 10 years, and they just have never, I don't know if every session, but I know there has been, because when our state representative was Sarah Roberts, I talked to her about this, because I think we could
That was a while ago.
I think we could have saved like, 30 grand a year, because it's never these things in the paper that people see and come. They'll get the letter at their door, right? We do the letter 300 feet out, or they just hear word of mouth or Facebook or the city's website. So basically, we're spending a ton of money on that, and then nobody ends up seeing it anyway. So that was my argument, at least.
Yeah.
Well, I second. Okay. Now we'll chat about the site plan flow. And you guys are familiar with this chart we created. It's for the new ordinance. But we start with a pre-development meeting, go into submitting a site plan application, and then the staff reviews it. There's an asterisk there. If further revisions are required, then it goes back to staff review, and so forth. Then the planning commission reviews it. So this is a good point here. We only put material here that have met the baseline requirements of a site plan. So if an applicant has if application has a lot of holes and gaps of information, then we would recommend tabling it or not putting it on the agenda at all. So we do we have a threshold before we place anything on the agenda. Great. Then we have our approval, denial, and if a special land use is needed, then we go to city council. But you're familiar with this. This is the process. After a site plan is approved, then and all of the conditions of approval are met, then they're passed to the building department, and we have monthly meetings with the building department, but we see them on an everyday basis, and we communicate all of the projects that we have in the pipeline, and the building department then issues a work permit, then they perform inspections with the fire marshal, and then they're either granted their certificate of compliance or they move straight forward and pass to the city clerk and earn their business license, and then have a ribbon cutting ceremony where our city and community economic development manager, Ian McCain, attends the ribbon cutting ceremony. And that's the lovely art flow of business. Thank you. All right, I told you we wanted to practice motions. We also took a survey, and I saw numerous feedback to practice a motion. So let's talk about the topics that a motion should include. And I know they seem kind of like run-on sentences, but we have to pack a lot of information into this motion and make sure that we've got all of our, I don't know, what do you say? Ducks in a row. So the first item that we need to include in the motion is the project name, address, parcel ID, date of plan, approval denial, approval of conditions, postponement, and then the reasons of why, so our findings of fact, conditions, if there's anything applicable, and then who will verify if the conditions are met, and then we can also add a timeline to that, like when the conditions will be met. So I have an example motion here today. Does anyone want to try it out? Too many motions?
Oh, I just fill in the blanks.
Yes.
Let's practice. Okay, motion to approve the
Hey.
site plan for a coffee shop at 1239 Mile Road, parcel ID number XXX, contingent that a revised site plan is presented to the city planner to address landscaping, trash collection, and screening as outlined in the plan review letter dated May 4th, 2023. Based on the following finding of fact, the project is in general compliance with the zoning ordinance.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Long motion.
I want to see more motions from you guys. That's my goal, all right? Everyone can make a motion. We got this. I know they're lengthy, but they're important, as our lawyer would say. Right, Rich?
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Albright. All right, moving on. Site plan compliance. We're almost there. 2 more slides left before our activity. So there's 2 different methods that the city uses, and I thought you might be interested in this information. The city uses to make sure a site plan is in compliance with what they're supposed to do. It's site plan with the zoning ordinance. So we first can offer a performance guarantee, and I'll talk about that first. And the second option that our zoning administrator, Ms. Smith, is brilliant on is verifying during the annual business license review that the site plan met all of their requirements, like landscaping, etc. So the first slide will talk about the performance guarantees. Thank you. So performance guarantee is a financial assurance that improvements will be constructed as approved. And there's a couple different forms of a guarantee: a bond, letter of credit, cash. And the amount is the total cost of construction or the improvement itself. How is it created? The applicant submits the cost of construction, and then the city engineer verifies the number. And when do they get their money back? Well, when they've improved the project, when they executed the project and made the improvement, the bond is released or the cash is refunded. Okay, and then the next slide is another way we comply with the site plan review is during the city's annual business license review period, which usually happens in May, June. We get together, planning department, building department, city clerk, look at the outstanding projects or reviews that we've conducted in 2020, 21, 22, 23, and make sure that all these projects have complied with their site plan. And if not, we issue them a letter saying that they must comply, or else their business license will be withheld. And I know Ms. Smith can talk a little bit more about her experience doing this. Do you have any comments for the commission, the class?
No, just that this is what activity 2 will cover, is some practice with identifying gaps in implementation of site plans.
Thank you. And then a site plan, just so you guys know, is a legal basis for future site compliance inspections, and it's important to maintain organization of records. So thank you for helping us out, Secretary, and thank you back there, Otis, and thank you, Alicia. Future Alicia helps write the minutes. So anyway, thanks for helping maintain our our records. The last slide is questions and answers. Any thoughts before we enter our activity?
I appreciate that you guys create the motion and write the motion into be made. Me too.
Thank you. Okay.
It does eliminate potential issues. And it's a good reminder for us too.
It eliminates fumbling and missing major points, for sure.
Thank you.
We used to have a master motion maker that served on this commission. And he's not with us any longer on the commission. The guy was spot on. He was phenomenal.
It
I'm
was hard
referring
to keep
Tim.
notes on him.
What?
Slow down, I didn't get that.
I'm referring to Tim.
Oh.
She knows.
Well, Tim wasn't really that much in that position once he became chair. But
He's still
when he
good.
served as vice chair, when it came time for a motion, nobody questioned, they just looked at him. And he was phenomenal.
How do you really feel about him?
I feel he was really phenomenal.
Okay, just clear.
All right, so you're going to subject us to an activity?
Oh, it was so fun, you guys. I worked really hard on this, so I hope you enjoy it. Our activities, we have 2 activities. The first one will be reviewing a site plan, and the second one will be reviewing a site plan for compliance. Activities will probably we'll put 10 minutes and then 5 minutes, so a total of like 20 minutes tops, 15, 20 minutes tops. And I'm just, for dialogue, come on, gotta have some dialogue. So the first activity, we have the materials that we already reviewed, site plan checklist, site plan standards. Use all the materials on the left, refrain from the right until you need some help. Or you can always raise your hand. I'll be walking around. I can help out too. So can our zoning administrator, Smith. And I'll have a next slide that helps you start your journey reviewing the site plan. So we'll first identify the north arrow, the seal, the scale. You can see that the checklist has all of this information on descriptive and identification data or general site data. I also recommend when you start reviewing your plan, highlight the boundaries of the property area so you know where you're talking about. There's a lot of information on a site plan, so that's important. And then orient yourself northeast, southwest sides of the parcel. We'll see. This is important for this exercise. And you guys are actually reviewing a site plan. This is a real site plan submitted by a professional, and I had to review this. So, have fun. But one other thing, or two other things I'll note before we enter the activity. Another fun fact or advice when you're considering the circulation of a plan, so vehicle and pedestrian circulation, picture yourself as the pedestrian, the car, the bicycle driver, and try to help offer recommendations on how their paths can be improved. Imagine yourself as the user. That being said, the checklist, I didn't include this on the slide, but I'll just talk about it. For the front page, you have the updated checklist, but I added the training legend at the bottom. So red means that there's missing material, and green means that there's standards have been met. This is for the answers on the right-hand side that I see the chair is already into. And on the site plan answers, the red marker means that there's an error, a highlighter means that there's a location of the standard, and the blue marker represents an opportunity for a recommendation. We can talk about it. And let's take 10 minutes.
Going to here and redo the site plan. You gotta open up all the pages. Open it up first. Just getting to learn this. Just starting my training. So this is news to me. Okay. So we're gonna go through and, this is the checklist. Okay, so looking on your drawing, find your like, site plan, coordinates, so. You're gonna be a complete sign company, new checklist. This is in that, oh, it should be on the right side, open in here. Yeah, that's it, I just had to open all the pages up. It's folded in half, right here. That's the answer sheet, Joe. She wants to do this one first. She's gotta open up all those pages first, and I'll fold it back.
And I would think, okay, so I'm just in my phone. So I can do. All right, so take like 5 minutes to do it. On their own, or what do you guys want?
What's that?
Do you want to do it on your own, or you want to go through it with me?
Part 2. This will be our homework we'll bring back next time.
No homework. No one ever did homework.
So in essence, like, you take these categories, description, and you see if the details are in here. You can kind of follow this thing. So now we gotta go. So we're gonna go do a site plan. I have two of these. That's the answer sheet, I think. So, like, this is the answer code she was saying, just for your own learning. Not the cheat sheet she gave us. The checklist sheet.
Oh, no,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, see that? So this is your answer sheet. This is what, she wants you to do this one first on your own without looking at the answers. But then this is the answer codes for that. So this is the same thing. So that's your answer
That's-
sheet.
yeah, right.
And then you want to find, here's the original right here. It's just on the second page. Okay. So, if you were to go to the site plan, you would like start here and say, project street titles and all that. So you see if it's on here, like that cheat sheet, like I said, it's parcel ID. You gotta make sure it's there.
Well, actually, that is the rendering. Are you finished? I forgot to mention, the rendering of the project is on the screen.
You're not doing this with us?
Fire marshal. So this first location is yours.
Because every time we put a fountain in, it lasts about 2 years.
So we wanna make sure all this stuff is available, I guess.
It's a retention pond.
The description and identification of the property. So do we find a parcel ID number somewhere?
The cheat sheet. Yeah, yeah.
Where's the existing? Where's the existing? Building, where's the existing floor plan or site plan? Normally you get an existing, no existing.
It should be on, look at my,
It's on the first cover in the small box.
Because I'm just getting this in my head.
so this is a three-phase development. There's an existing building, but they're building off of it.
You don't need an existing for, you don't need an existing site plan for.
Well, we do have the,
But is it increasing by more than 25%?
sheet A02 and A01. So on your checklist, it say, cross off floor plans. You would note that the floor plans are on sheet A01 and A02.
Where are you putting that at?
I did that because I wanted to simplify the site plan. This is actually a three-tiered, three-phase project. So I did that so you don't look at it. But what's relevant on the left side of that drawing is the dumpster enclosure. So that's what I'm telling, so isn't that crazy, you guys? These applicants put, it's hard to find information in a site plan. It's hard to do that, okay? I was looking forever for this dumpster enclosure, which should be probably maybe on the building elevation side, but it's embedded within the left-hand margin of a first phase site plan sheet. So I'm just letting you know that site plans are tricky, they're hard to read, and developers don't really give information that easy.
I don't know how she tried to get us.
So, let me ask you this. So I think I just figured it out.
What's up?
What you trying to get us to do?
So I'm looking at my
project
You're just
title,
showing that
street
the
address.
information is there, and if it's missing,
Submitted on sheet number.
not doing it, Rich? You're good. You don't like what? Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Okay. Do you want to shout out it at all, or? I don't have a clue. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Do you think I could put it on? Chair, do you think I should put it on the screen, or do you think we're good with just in front of the Okay.
You have 12 minutes.
Do your best. Is there a photometric plan? Is there landscaping? Are there elevation drawings? Yeah. Are the elevation drawings marked properly? I'm gonna put up the site plan on my
Elevations
screen.
program. Yeah, elevations, I see. AO2. AO1. It's because it's like architecture. You have to look at drawing all the time to find out what's. No, you just kind of just still away for 5 days and just go into it in great depth. And this is only half of it, because then after you go through all the plans, when we're looking for what we got to build, then you got to get the spec book. That might be a home binder. You got to go to each section and both. They both use the plans, no matter what it is. They're going to follow the same guys. So once commercial is easier because I know the materials are in someone's house. I got to find out what kind of paper they putting on the wall, what kind of mortar color they using. You got to go through the specs, and they take the whole building out into like the 10 categories. So you go through building name. I'm finishing 9, so I have to go in the book. Just go to section 9, make sure I get everything. But they never put stuff where it's supposed to be. Inkster Housing, they're going to actually turn over 300 units. They've been letting sit vacant until we got 100. What's the lady say? 1,090 late housing shortage, and they just stockpiling houses. City Trade the same way. They just put the little borders up, UPS boards up, so they don't get down. But they're not using the room. People are waiting. They're supposed to fix up 300 units. 1, 2, 3, 1 to 5 different units. 300.
Did you find the zoning classification? Is that on page CS?
Pretty much everything is on this first page for the description. Everything about the description, so it's right here. The zoning classification and the buddy parcels. So you got this stuff up here. This is your overview page. Your cover sheets will have most of the descriptive stuff on it.
All right, everybody, do you guys want to discuss together? Great. I'm happy you had a little bit of this experience. I didn't mean to overwhelm anyone, but I think we'll just focus on the site plan itself and talking through where we identify information and errors. But we do have our ordinance in front of us to help us understand what foot candles or pole height, lighting pole height, are allowed. This is the ordinance. How many trees are required per frontage. So we have this for the numbers, and then our checklist to tell us what is required in the ordinance and understand what page number it's on. So we look through the checklist, we look at the ordinance, and we look at the site plan. We need 3 screens.
Look at the ordinance, have a site plan. And what's the third one you said?
The checklist, site plan checklist.
Make sure you didn't miss anything.
All right, so in the checklist, in the site plan, we'll leave the ordinance aside. You can see that all of the descriptive and identification data is on sheet CS, the one in front of you. So we have the parcel project title here. We have the parcel ID somewhere in here, the small font. We have the architect, the firm, we can keep going, the location map, that's down here. Legal property description is not there.
I didn't see it on here.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why in the answer sheet, we have a red box because red means it's not there, and we would require the applicant to provide that in a side conversation before the planning commission meeting. We also need the parcel ID number too, because it's not there. Then we have the zoning classification. We don't have the zoning of the adjacent parcels, so we need that. That's why in the checklist, we say that we need it, because it's not on CS and it's not in the site plan. We also need the number of employees and the project description. We don't have that. But we do have the name, phone number, address of people who prepared it up here. We have the seal of the architect right here, and we have the, we should have a schedule down here. We have a schedule of revisions here, but we also have 2 outstanding items, the proposed time of the project completion and any variances. We don't have those 2 notes. Moving on to general site data, you can see that there's not a lot of this information. The applicant needs to do a better job of providing this information. Does anyone see the scale? So we go to ASP 003. It's hard for me to look on that.
Scale on page 3. The scale 1 equals 20, is that what you mean?
There's no dimensions. Upper right here.
Where?
Upper right.
Behind you. Okay, right there.
But there's a scale at the bottom though, that 1 foot equals 20 feet.
Seriously, what's up with you and the pointer?
There's your North Point scale at the bottom.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Louis not here, so I gotta.
key plan, no scale, exactly. So they need to provide a scale. However, one of these sheets, they do have a scale.
See, it says new site plan.
Did you guys find it?
Scale 1 feet on ASP 01.
ASP 01, okay.
It says a scale 1 foot to 20,
Yes, thank you for
North Point?
finding that, ASP 01
and it's also on SP 103.
and 03. So let's go back.
ASP 01?
Can we-
It's in the lower left, right at the bottom where it says board. Right there.
Oh my,
Exactly.
okay, yeah. I'm on.
So you guys see that that scale is very small. It's kind of hard for site plans, you're not alone, but also you can see in the ordinance and the checklist, we say that we need the scale to be drawn no less than 1 inch equals 30 feet. And they have 1 inch equals 20 feet, so they need to change that. All right, so that's another thing we look for. We have the date of preparations and drawings.
ASP 03, right?
It's on there on all of them.
It's right here. Yeah.
So because they have the improperly scaled, they have to redo all of these? Because they have 1 to 20, you have said it has to be no less than 1 to 30?
Yeah,
There's 1 inch equals 20 feet.
hopefully they have a software system where they can just,
Well,
change the numbers.
I'm confused. Because if it's 1 inch is 20 feet, you're saying it should be no less than 1 inch per 30 feet.
So have to resubmit.
That seems like 1 inch per 20 would meet it.
It can be no less than 30 feet, so
Right.
1 through 40.
What?
What do you say?
Equals 20 feet,
Right, so it's,
which is actually
yeah.
more than 1 inch equaling 30 feet.
Okay, well, then we'll keep
There's a
it.
50% difference there.
Right, it'd be
I thought she said it,
30 feet would be a smaller drawing.
Right. That's the way my brain's processing.
Right.
Whereas 1 inch equals 40 feet
You're right.
would be a smaller drawing. So 1
So we
inch
like
per
the scale.
20
Okay,
does meet
moving
the
on.
requirement of not less than 1 inch per 30.
Okay, moving on. Good
Pass
details.
backwards.
Attention to detail. That's what we need as planners. Good job, everybody. We have the date of preparation drawings. That's the CS sheet, first page sheet on the right margin. You guys remember that one?
yes,
We go back to it. We're good.
cover sheet.
Okay. And then everything else in this category is not on the plan. So that's why we have a lot of red columns here. Moving to the building and structure details. We have the front, rear, side setbacks on sheet CS. You can see this information in here. Sometimes applicants place a lot of data on the first page. These definitely do. So you can see that we have our front, east, west, rear, building height, lot coverage with impervious surface area. All of this data is right here. And then we also have the parking requirements here. This is on sheet CS, the first one. You can see distances between existing proposed buildings on ASP 03. And location dimensions, height, stories for all proposed structures in ASP 03. Should I go back to that? Okay. Location dimensions, height, and number of stories. We did that one. Facade and ground floor heights. That's not applicable. Building facade elevations. Let's go to this one. We'll go to AO1. Yeah, what's up?
The phase 1, 2, and 3 thing, is that like it looks like, so all the setbacks are different. They're like doing like an addition twice, basically?
They're using the existing building here because they want to establish their business immediately, and then they're phasing it with the new build that you can see in the red. Yeah. Okay. What sheet were we going to? AP or AO1?
801 for the elevations of each side.
Thank you. Okay, AO1. So I'm gonna go to my sheet, site plan sheet. You can see everything that's highlighted are standards that are addressed, but in red, we need more details on the signs and existing, so the signs, and I think that's the only thing here. Oh, no, we also need, to understand the siding material and color and new paint color.
Do you know what
Yeah,
the building material specs are? Color heights on here?
yeah, we need definitely, we need the material and the colors on the facades. So that's missing, and that's what we would recommend, or we would require.
So you would send it back for resubmission.
Yep. Or if it's minor enough and they have a lot of things, like today, we said, like, for today, for example, we had a condition of approval to say, hey, let us know your garage, door color, and it has to meet the standards. You know, if it's minor, but, this one, we definitely had another conversation with them. Because you can see on the next, page, building 2, they also have,
That was there, building to the material, facade, cement color.
right, they have the wrong colors, or no, they have, in building 2, they have the wrong title for a material. This is attention to detail, guys. I think this is, the takeaway here. But, I'm trying to get over here for you. So, it says that they're going to use cement fiber panels, but really, this is brick. This is face brick. So we're making sure that they're putting in face brick and not cement panels, so they need to correct this, data. And avoid a blank wall. We can talk about that another time. And then east and west, this is what I was getting at, I think as Councilmember DeMonico hinted. The elevation, it's good to orient ourselves on the building because the elevations are incorrect. So the east and west elevations need to be corrected. This is actually the west side of the building, and this is the east side of the building. If you can,
Transposed, you're saying?
sorry, say that again?
They're transposed, that should actually be saying west and it's saying east, they transposed.
Exactly.
Is this typical of a first site plan you receive, or is just like the worst possible
This is
example?
not the worst plan at all, at all. This is actually a good plan in the spectrum of plans.
So you're saying this is typical?
Yes.
Can't you just hold it in a mirror and then it'll be right?
All right, so
I
we
don't
talked
know.
about
It
the
might-
building.
It might not have a reflection.
Structure, let's see, parking and circulation. Do you guys want to focus on any other parking, circulation, or, landscaping and screening?
Look at the
Before
parking,
we-
the parking and circulation, just because that's always an issue, parking.
Okay, so let's go to parking and circulation.
Should we talk about trees or
I ain't worried about you.
Commissioner Emeritus?
We'll do parking.
I will, I'll hear all day. Anyway.
Well,
um,
we're planting 100 trees on this.
You can see there's a lot of red on the landscaping page. A lot of red. So they have improvements there. Parking and circulation, what page number are we going to, you guys? ASP 03.
ASP 03.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about this a bit. Have we noticed any areas that we can improve as a pedestrian? ASP 03. Is that down here? Yeah, I think that's this one. Yep.
When they exiting out the drive-through maybe?
So as a pedestrian, like, first of all, these people, the developer proposes to create 2 new businesses here. And we would hope that pedestrians access both businesses during one visit, and so does the developer. So exactly, but there's no dedicated pedestrian path because the developer didn't think that through as well as we just did now. And our role is to help the developer and help business in the city. So, thank you, Secretary. We recommend to install a pedestrian crosswalk right here. It doesn't have to be any concrete structure. It's just a path, like a hashed path, as you could see in the rendering earlier. From this entrance, taking up one of these parking spots, and then moving to this sidewalk. So that's one recommendation, actually no, requirement that we have to improve pedestrian connectivity and safety. Another,
Isn't that problematic, though, goes right in front of the cars in the driveway? We had some very similar to a month ago.
we have it's a hashed marking.
You gotta run across the parking lot.
It's better to have a designated space for pedestrians to walk than none. And when we have more regulations in place, the culture will shift that drivers don't rule the world, pedestrians do. And then for that, folks, I'm out. No, I'm just kidding. So do you guys notice anything here? This is in terms of the maneuvering lane. So it's not, there's no number featuring what this width is, and it also seems too tight. So we recommend that they, or require that they provide the maneuvering lane width here. Okay. Yeah, or the landscaped island.
Oh, you mean as the cars are exiting, there's some maneuverability requirements that they can make that turn?
Exactly. Not exiting, this is a one-way flow. But
drive-through
when they're
going in.
entering.
Okay, I'm going- looking
Yeah,
at
and
backwards.
yeah, you're right, you're
Entry.
right. The congestion right here, I'm sorry, you're right. Thank you, Commissioner Naylor. All right, another way to improve pedestrian connectivity, what about people walking down the sidewalk here? They're walking down Stevens or Gratiot or Kelly. How are they gonna get to the site? So, exactly, we require a sidewalk here. Yep. Okay. Does anyone have any recommendations? There's a lot of retail and dining. Well, I mean, yes. All right, Secretary.
What'd she say?
Outdoor space, outdoor seating. So that's our recommendation, to have patio, outdoor space for pedestrians or people just to lounge right here, and also dine out here. That's a recommendation, not a requirement.
The front door's on that side, right? Not where you're,
Yeah, this is the front door. I can go back into the,
no, on the building on the left.
I don't think I have the rendering in front of me. What, sorry, oh, the building here? Yeah, this is the front. Okay, and then, this is kind of fun, for parking. So they have enough parking spots. We counted every single one of them. Thanks. I appreciate that laugh. I'm here all night. But there are some spaces that are not beneficial for the site. There's 3 of them. Were you guys able to identify any of those? I know it's a lot of information, so we'll talk through it. There's one spot here, right here, that's awkward for inflow, outflow of traffic. Can you imagine if you're parking your car and you're going out into the maneuvering lane. So that's why we require them to expand their landscape island, and take away this parking spot.
Isn't that where you just put the sidewalk?
Yeah, the sidewalk's there too. So the sidewalk's part of the landscape island. The sidewalk's probably connecting here. I mean, it's fluid.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But good point. Okay. Another unfavorable parking spot is this one right here. It's really hard. Like, how is someone going to back up? You know? Like, if they're parked, how are you going to reverse? You're going to reverse like just like this into another car? So we said, no parking here. There's a lot of this is guiding the developer to enhance the site. That's a great question. That's a great question.
Well, it's the architect.
Yeah.
The architect are artists, they just draw.
Yeah.
The developer and the builder gotta make sure it's buildable.
Yeah, the architect.
But she's good at drawing, good designs, doesn't mean it's buildable.
That's valid. We need more
That's
conversations.
why this site plan has to be reviewed, and I appreciate it gets done before it comes to the construction drawings. That's why there's so many phases.
Exactly.
What can actually be built, you gotta go through these renderings.
Instead of occupying more time. Yeah, exactly. The last unfavorable parking spot is right here, because it's just the nature of backing up in the dumpster enclosures right here. So we say, no, remove that and put more landscaped island in. Well, that was fun. Do you guys want to talk about landscaping or move on? Actually, we should. We good? We're good? What? We're done? Okay. I think one last thing that I want to show because it's relevant is this photometric plan. And you could see, thank you, Commissioner Broll, The maximum foot candles at the parking lot line is 13.3. And if you look at your ordinance.
Okay, can you identify that where you picked that number up from, please? Where'd you see the 13.3 from?
It's right here. Page,
In the notes?
what page is
Oh, I see
this?
the luminaire calculations. Okay, I see it.
L201.
I see it now.
Look at your ordinance. Where's my ordinance? Okay, your abbreviated ordinance. Not schedule of regulations, not materials, not dumpster, not maneuvering lane, not off-street parking, not zoning, not landscaping, not parking, not screening, not lighting, height, but photometric plan.
Last page.
Thank you. I just wanted to walk everyone through the ordinance. But thanks, everybody. So they need to remove their foot candles because no point can exceed 10 foot candles on the site.
Okay, I thought your question was at the property.
Parking lot, maximum foot candles is 13.3, parking lot. So they need to reduce their 13.3 foot candles to 10.
How's it 13.3 all of a sudden there, but the other lights are so much lower? Like that?
Well, if you help me locate where the 13.3 is.
Look at the red in the area with the, MHE. Yeah, L4 MHE.
Oh, I see it, yeah. It's because there's a cluster of lighting right there. We have the L4 and we have the L5. And probably the MH might impact that too. All of those three meet together in that one 13.3 spot. Let me go here, right here.
But the ones surrounding it right on the outside go way lower all of a sudden.
That's probably because the lights are cast towards the 13.3. This is cast towards, and this is cast towards. The perfect storm. Commissioner Bull, did you have a question before we move on?
No, I'm good.
Aw, okay. All right, well, thanks for your participation here today. And we wanted to talk about this activity of how to review an existing site plan for compliance. Are you interested in this, or should we discuss it next week or next month? Next month it is. Well,
Hey,
thanks
just to
for all
find
your
out,
time,
please.
Zoning Administrator Smith, for putting together the activity. We appreciate it. Okay. Are you interested in reviewing anything regarding this plan, like landscaping, next month, or are we closing this workshop?
I'm just still trying to find, like you said, they had a max footage of 13 parking lot candle, the 13.3?
Yep,
And the
13.3.
max can be 10. I'm trying to find out, I don't see the 13.3 anywhere.
It's right here.
Oh. All these numbers, oh, I see it.
But they help you out by putting this
Oh,
table
I see the
here.
dots here now.
So you can see the table tells us that, oh, they're violating it. So I don't even have to look at all those little
I
numbers.
don't even have to know where the location is, just see that
Exactly.
table.
If I can make a suggestion, I didn't quite understand, like, when you first gave it to us, like, you going through it now, if we did this again, you could give me like this, and I would take it home and do it, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do it in 10 minutes. I don't think I can.
That's fair.
But now that you've done it.
I can't do it in 10 minutes.
I know you can.
No, I cannot.
But
I'm
you,
just saying, like, if you.
He didn't understand what you were trying to do.
Meaningful going through it once.
Okay.
We have went through another exercise, now I know what you're looking for, now I've got a blueprint of what we're trying to achieve.
Okay, well, that's perfect. Why don't we take the activity 2 home and discuss it in July? So the activity 2
Yes.
provides
you caught us by surprise.
Which one are we
I'm coming
doing
in
at
hot.
home?
Sorry, guys. Thanks for bearing with me.
Oh, the
thank
plan
you.
site activity number 2, do that at home?
So, if I'm right, Ms. Smith, do you want to explain this activity for them?
Yeah, so
Okay,
the
thanks.
overview provides an explanation of what this activity aims for, but it's essentially, as Mara said, it's reviewing a site plan to make sure that the site has fulfilled the commitments of the approved site plan. So what you see here are images on the first page, and second page are images from Google of how the site looks now in present day from the pedestrian viewpoint or a car's viewpoint passing by, how it looks from the front on Gratiot. And then bird's eye view, what is included on the overall site. And then the third and fourth page are the site plan that was approved by Planning Commission in 2021. And so the activity asks you to look at the site plan and compare it to the current condition of the site as portrayed in the images, and circle on the site plan what was not implemented or what varies from what was proposed. And so,
So you want us to find out what he's not doing that he should be doing?
correct. And the activity today should help you understand what was portrayed and submitted and approved, and understand, okay, what was proposed as landscaping, what was proposed as parking and circulation, if there's a dumpster enclosure proposed, and then,
So this sketch, if I understand you, Ms. Smith, correctly, so this is what's approved,
yep,
and I'm gonna see how much of it actually shows up here?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then the elevations are on the back, so how the building should
Okay.
look.
Okay.
And that's why the image on the front is here compared.
Very good.
And it doesn't matter that the photos are taken on different times of the year, so 2023 and 2021, because the plan was approved in 2020. So it needs to meet, no matter what those photos are, the photos need to be in compliance with the 2020 plan. Before we end, I would like to just have more recommendations on how to improve this. So I hear that you would like me to run through it as a team first and refrain from individual or partnered activity.
I think, I would just recommend that you give, clarity around what it is they're doing, like, the plans they're trying to identify on what page they were finding that information that wasn't clear, I think initially, what they were looking for, so you took the 8 categories of site plan review, and you wanted to make sure they understand, where would you find that, the site plan information, or this category, on what pages. So then when you look on those pages, this page A13 has the description, the cover sheet, and all that.
Okay,
So just kind of clarity of what the plans are on, so you know, okay, we're looking for this information on what page. I think that was the missing link
okay, thank you,
for me.
thank you.
Well, I think you were trying to gear it more towards this is what we get, so have at it, right?
Yes.
There's some truth in that, but I really wanted to maximize your time.
I
Well,
like
you
it-
did.
Yeah, I like a combination of group and trying to figure it out ourselves too.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe take it in a smaller chunk next time, as opposed to a whole massive thing. Maybe identify, this is what we're looking for. Yeah. Make it
Love
just
that, okay.
break it
And
down a
walk
little bit
through
more,
the
because
sheets.
quite honestly, I don't do your job. That's why I rely on your expertise, and I'm looking at all this stuff, it's like getting palpitations, trying to thumb through papers, looking for this, that, and the other thing. So, just by chunks, at least when we're at home, we can spread it on our desk, we can look things through, we can pick things apart, but yet, you asked us to do something in an hour and a half that we have a whole lot more time to do at home. So, just keep that in mind.
Great.
Small chunks.
We can use this as a reference moving forward.
There you go.
You have all the answers. Well, thank you so much for your time and thanks for your feedback. I appreciate that. Only can improve.
Thank you, Ms. Pashta.
Thank you.
All right, going on to Commissioner we already had the second hearing of the public. So going on to Commissioner comments. think I've lost complete control of this. All right, we're going to start. Ms. Smith, do you have any comments for the evening?
I do not. It was nice to be back and attending the meeting and conducting a site plan review with you. So thanks for your patience with me.
Welcome back. Ms. Brazaszewski?
Yes, we are hosting a training with the Zoning Board of Appeals on variances on June 15th. I can send an email out if you're interested. Please respond if you're interested, and I will create packet for you. Thursday. Thank you.
Mr. McCain?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commission. I'm very excited, though not tonight, but in the very near future, for you to meet our Community Development Fellow, John Kraus. He's been with us for about 3 weeks now and has really hit the ground running. So in addition to supporting our work in economic development, as well as marketing, branding, and promotions that will be led by our Community Engagement Manager when they start, he's going to be leading sustainability initiatives for the city, picking up some of the work that we've already done, as well as looking for additional funding and resource opportunities to really launch that work to the next level. So we're very excited to have him. He's been a great addition to the team, and like I said, I look forward to you all being able to meet him and get to know him a little bit better in the future. Let's see. The other thing I'll mention too, the Downtown Development Authority did approve funding for us to relaunch our summer concert series, so we are actively recruiting bands and fundraising for that. Super excited to have that. The first one is actually going to be in coordination with the library on June 22nd. The name of the band is escaping me, but they were a Motown cover band, very popular, so that'll be at 4 p.m. So definitely come out, bring your friends and family if you're free. And then consistently after on the fourth Thursday of the month, the other ones will likely be here and start at 6 p.m. So if you are interested in sponsoring, there are opportunities from $2,000 all the way down to $25, so definitely let us know. Or if you're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, you can work the concession stand. After cost, your organization will keep 50% of the profits and the other 50% will go back to the DDA. Other than that, I want to thank Ms. Bradaszewski and Smith for a great training this evening, and look forward to more fun trainings in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Albright?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No additional comments for the evening.
Councilman DeMonico?
Thank you. I guess just briefly, the Memorial Day Parade was quite a success. I don't know who was there that's here tonight, but we had quadruple the groups we had last year for the parade. Went from like 14 to it's at least 57. So that was a success. No sports teams though, so if anyone knows a sports team that is interested, I think we can up our numbers for next year with that. Happy Pride Month. I was just at the Pride event that Rare did just before coming here. That was cool. City of Roseville presented their proclamation they passed, and they had a whole bunch of, they had like an ice cream food truck. They had a bunch of vendors there and things like that, so that was fun. And then I thought there was one other, 9 Mile, construction's really started now. The top's been taken off there, and they're really getting to it now, west of Gratiot, so we'll see. I had a resident the other day email me asking hopefully that it'd be done by the end of the week or something, they'd be able to use 9 Mile again. I'm like, we're just getting started right now. It's really just kind of been blocked off for putting a water main in, not the actual street. Now we're starting the street, so they probably weren't happy about that response. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Lalonde?
No comment.
Ms. Naylor?
Other than being a little chilly here tonight, this was a good session. And I like conciseness, so I know we had extra time because we canceled so many things, but I think we can still try and stay concise. That's just my thoughts. Glad the summer heat has finally arrived.
Amen. Ms. Ulinski?
I just want to thank Mara and Brigitte for tonight. I did enjoy it. I love learning more about it and more in depth than just what we've been doing. So thank you very much. Great presentation. I hope everybody can make it out to the Gratiot Cruise. And if you know any food truck vendors, send them my way. And we'll hope to see you there.
Got ice cream for you.
I've got 3 ice creams
Oh.
already, but I'll
Hopefully
take
it's the
it.
same people, Jay and Devin.
I'll see if
What
we
was
can get
there
the
not
nacho
on the-
truck. There's a nacho grill that's in Ferndale's on the weekends. Maybe they'll come over here. They got like chicken shawarma nachos. It's
Ooh.
crazy, but they're good. Barbecue brisket nacho. See if we can steal them from Ferndale for a week.
Yeah, yeah. So hope everybody can make it out to the cruise, and thank you, fellow commissioners, always for a enjoyable meeting.
Mr. Broll?
Yeah, I guess I would just say I enjoyed the training as well tonight, and it's good to see that our crowd has doubled from its normal size. So, at this rate, we're really growing. I don't want to call it a following, but
Quadruple.
We have groupies.
groupies, there you go.
Oh, ye few but faithful. Mr. Lebeck?
Thank you, McKenna, for the training sessions. It's been so long, and typically late in the evening, when our brains are fried, training just doesn't work well. But it's good to get it tonight. I want to offer my condolences to the Guastella family. Phil Guastella was a councilman here in East Point, and there's probably only 3 of us that remember him as a liaison here to the Planning Commission, but his mom passed away. So condolences to them. Have a safe summer. Be careful. School is still in, and when it's out, I know we were a little crazy when we graduated, so I hope kids haven't lost that spirit.
Thank you. Thank you, McKenna, for the treats pre-meeting, and thank you for the training tonight. Smaller chunks absorb much easier. But you didn't know that until you experienced it, so now you know. I wanted to extend my condolences to Phil as well. And we lost a staple of the community last month in Sue Young, whose husband was on the city council. But she was a diehard 8K member. Her and Nell, I think, probably single-handedly kept that thing going for 1,000 years. And, it's sad when you see staples of the community pass on. So my condolences to her family. Get involved. I'm going to, there's that little bit in Sunset Boulevard when Norma Desmond's talking into the camera, to the little people in the camera. So at this point, I'm talking to hopefully all 4 people that may be watching this on camera. Please get involved, whether it's the city or the school board or a commission. I went to the school board meeting on Monday. The majority of the school board decided that they were going to eliminate the second hearing of the public as well as trustee comments. The school board wants us to renew a $36 million millage, but yet they just effectively took away one of the public's opportunity to speak. So I value the feedback. We don't always agree with one another, but we have a right to be heard. So I'm waging my own campaign against that because I do not believe in silencing the public. There's a difference between saying something completely inappropriate and letting your voice be heard. So I cherish the fact that we let people's voices be heard on this commission and that we accept it. And I want to thank you all for your time. Have a wonderful night, and can I get a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to adjourn at 9:42 PM.
We have motion, do we have support? We have a second and I think a third.
Sorry, Sheila.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Julinski, yes. Mr. Lubeck. Mr. Lubeck.
Yes.
Mr. Lalonde. Mr. Broll.
Yes.
Ms. Naylor. Ms. Julinski, yes. Ms. Moody. Chairman DeHunt.
Yes. Thank you.